On January 16th, the demo was released for the First Berserker Khazan, and since then I've played through it several times, and today I'm going to share my thoughts on the game so far. Khazan is a single-player third-person Souls-like set in the Dungeons & Fighter universe. You play as the titular Khazan, who has been convicted of treason by the Empire. On the way to his exile, a ghost possesses his body, allowing him to seek his revenge on those who have wronged him. This is the basis of the story, with not much more to go on at the time of finishing the demo. There are pieces of lore you can find in the loading screens and on bodies for the 2 missions you can access to give you a little bit more. The gameplay itself is more closely related to Sekiro, with fast-paced combat and high emphasis on perfect blocking. During the second mission, you'll unlock skills to give you more variety in your attacks, as well as benefits from blocking and dodging. After completing the first mission, you're given a choice to change the difficulty from normal to easy if it was a bit difficult for you. The main difference I noticed between the difficulties is that easy will have you dealing more damage, take less damage, and blocking or dodging have larger windows, making them easier to accomplish. There are 3 weapon types you'll unlock in the game. The first one are the dual weapons, and you'll use these for the majority of the demo. I personally like them the best for their speed and versatility. You also unlock a giant guts-like greatsword that can deal massive damage, but is slow and uses a lot of stamina. The final weapon you unlock is a spear that is fast and has reach, but deals the least amount of damage. The game also has a heavy focus on loot dropped from enemies or found in chests that can have different stats to increase your damage and defense. All weapons have 2 stats that they scale with. Dual weapons are focused on willpower and strength, great swords are focused on strength and proficiency, and spears are focused on proficiency and willpower. I may do a more in-depth guide on the stats at a later date, so if you want to see that, then drop a like on the video. Armor mainly just affects your defense with the exception of certain sets. The more pieces of a set you wear, the more additional benefits you receive. An example is the hound gear found on a lot of the enemies in the first mission. You can get increased damage, higher stamina recovery rate, more damage against beasts, and more damage with your potent blow, which is your heavy attack. Some sets will also include weapons like the Frost Mountain, Soul Eater, and Ashen Wolf sets. Along with all of this, higher rarities of armor and weapons give you a random attribute increase. You can also equip necklaces and rings to have even more attributes and an increase to health and stamina. Just like other Souls-like games, your currency is the souls from the dead enemies you defeat, which in this game are called Lacrima. Use this at a Blade Nexus, which is the equivalent of a bonfire or site of grace, to level up your stats. When you die, you'll spawn back at the last Blade Nexus you visited and will have lost all of your Lacrima. However, retrieving it is much easier to do in Khazan than other Souls-like games, since all you need to do is get near it and it will automatically be absorbed. I really like this feature because if you die in a spot that has a tough enemy or multiple enemies, you don't have to take time out of dealing with them to press a separate button. All enemies in the demo have a health and stamina bar. If the stamina bar reaches 0, then you can perform a brutal attack that deals massive damage. This works for all enemies, including bosses. Speaking of bosses, there's only one boss at the end of each mission, although there are a few enemies that feel like bosses. They will put your skills to the test, and you'll need to get familiar with their attack patterns to defeat them. If you die to a boss, your lost Lacrima will be in front of the Blade Nexus where you spawn, so you can get it back immediately and not have them go to waste if the boss kills you again. Additionally, completing some kind of challenge in the boss fight will reward you with additional Lacrima. Because of this, dying can be used as a way to enhance your character even further. I believe the challenge is completed by depleting their stamina bar and using a brutal attack at least once, but I have not confirmed this. There's a lot more to get into, but let's talk about some of the downsides. The missions themselves are extremely linear with very little exploration. The few side paths you can take usually end in a loot chest or an enemy guarding a loot chest. These can give you good rewards, but it doesn't feel like you really discovered something like typical games in this genre. The linearity also leads to the missions being very short. If anything, I would want more to do in each mission before it's over. Granted, this is just the demo of a game that's still in development, and only the first 2 missions at that. It can be very possible to fix this in later missions, or the length of the game could be fairly long, making these shorter missions a good way to break up the pace. Overall, I really enjoy the game, and I'm really excited to see the full release on March 27th. If you're interested in playing, then check out the demo available on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation. What are your thoughts on the game? Is it something you're interested in, or is it more of a pass for you? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.